So I should be in bed or preparing for bed, but I'm not because the overthinking that is happening. And I just, ooh, sometimes I wish YouTube was dialogue more than just the chat instead of monologue. I have been delving into looking, the rabbit hole that has opened up for me has been philosophy lately. And I want to talk a little bit tonight about a particular card, the Four of Cups, which I've always looked at as like the most, well, boring, benign, like blah, card. Like, necessary, a very important message that the Four of Cups can give us. Um, but I have this whole new understanding or perspective on that card based on some rabbit holes that have opened up through the YouTube machine with philosophers, particularly, um, God, here we go, brain fog. It's so much fun. Um, Albert, my dad, Sartre, Albert Sartre, and he was the father of the whole philosophical concept of existentialism. Now, I have only ever heard existential attached to the word following it crisis, so an existential crisis. But as I'm starting to explore and learn more about him as an individual, his life, his growing up experiences, which very much formed and shaped, I mean, I guess arguably anybody, but for him, some very fundamental things that happened through his very young age, his youth, that led to this brilliant concept and philosophical ideology that is existentialism, that does not have to have necessarily an association with crisis. And so I pulled out the Four of Cups in a couple of different decks just for us to look at the different imagery as we kind of explore where my mind's going with all of this. So traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, this is the Radiant Wise Rider-Waite-Smith. Ooh, that's tongue twister. Um, Deck. I should do a deck on DEI. We should do a deck review of decks that are inclusive in DEI. But I digress, as I often do. So, our traditional Rider-Waite-Smith Four of Cups card. And, here we have our guy out in a more of a remote place, leaned up against a tree, arms folded, legs crossed. I'm not sure, is he angry? Is he pouting? Is he despondent? Is he, he's focusing on these cups and not seeing what the hand of God, the universe, his spirit guides, intuition, whatever that you want to interpret that hand that's coming out from the ether to offer that fourth cup. So for me, like, my joke oftentimes is, this is my card of like, oh my God, even bacon doesn't taste good. Like, I know we have some vegetarians, forgive me. This is my card of, I don't want coffee. Like, oh my God, the day I don't want coffee is, I know I'm getting sick. It's a heads up. It's a weird thing my body does of like, oh, I don't want coffee. Uh-oh, I'm about to get sick. So my joke with this card is, the things that normally would be go-to things when all else fails, that would be like, oh, well, that's a joyful thing, or that's something that I can look forward to, or brings me a sense of happiness, an emotional teddy bear, if you will. And so with the Four of Cups, it's just so much of that energy of just the doldrums, the ennui, the malaise of life. And I think for a lot of reasons, a lot of us could identify with this card these days. But I'm realizing it doesn't have to mean existential crisis. And the whole, what I'm gaining, my understanding at this point of what Sartre's message was, is that existentialism is the philosophy that life is what you make it. Now the jukebox in my brain, 80s song, 80s reggae dance hall song, life is what you make it. So try and make it, my dear. I hope that you will. And it's that nothing has meaning until we, and that could be we, you, the individual, that could be the royal we, but it's until a meaning is put upon that, ascribed to a certain thing. And whatever that thing is, it could be anything from an inanimate object to a philosophical ideal to the meaning of life. Because so much with that Four of Cups is that things just feel very lackluster and just very bleh. And, you know, what brings emotional stability? Because we're looking, when you look at this card, it is still a four. So fours for me are about stability, borders, boundaries in the positive aspect of what those words mean. And so now with the Four of Cups, it's, water and stability. Well, water's not known for really being stable. What container is it in, which will determine the form and the shape of that fluid that is water. Sorry guys, you can see the smoke coming from my head as like gears are turning as I'm like sussing this all out in my head in real time, as I always do. But it's that when I think about, and I love that with this card they've made the cloud purple in particular. I had never noticed that until this moment. But in this version of it, which to me, that purple is more about spirituality. It's a nod to something regal, something grand, royalty, but the spirituality aspect or the crown chakra, opening up your mind to something conceptually that is a spiritual from an actual spirit, or a concept of spirituality, of offering you another option, as opposed to this is all that's here and I'm very dissatisfied with what's here, but wait, what about this that the hand of spirit is offering? And so with existentialism, it is, how do you have a sense of self, your own knowing of who you are, your own value system, your own opinions that are not easily swayed by the opinions of others, your lovers, your parents, your children, society as a whole, whatever social group or civic organization that you're a part of, whatever communities that you're a part of. And there's a play that he wrote called No Exit. And there's a famous quote from No Exit that says, hell is other people. And I've come to realize that people have misconstrued what that means. I think, if someone is an introvert, they would be like, truer words are never spoken. But that's not what Sartre is trying to express to us in saying hell is other people. Because if you go in to look into what the play, the actual plot is about, it is three people, they're in hell, and they are like, wow, this is a very different version. I thought it was gonna be fire and brimstone. No, it's just kind of like this nondescript, very unexciting almost sterile environment of just one room. And there are three people that are in this one particular hell. So they have this conversation with each other. How did you get here? How did you get here? Progress through the play. What they presented to each other at first as to the reasons they got there. Now, after time and being forced in close proximity, now the mask starts slipping. Now the truth starts coming out of what things they did that landed them in hell. There were some pretty intense and arguably egregious things by some of them. Some not great, but is it worth going to hell for? But the whole concept is when it comes to him saying hell is other people, is it's almost like the dot 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 on the other side of that. What he means in saying that is hell is other people when you do not know who you are, regardless of other people that are around you. Looking good, looking bad in front of them, saving face. And so it just really is making me think about, even if I look at the different depictions, we have our traditional Rider-Waite-Smith version, but a deck that is just one of the, like, it's just happy and fun, and it's the Tinseltown Tarot. I did a walkthrough on this. I don't know if I posted it, but I will. It's just such a super sweet, fun deck. Solid reader, but a really great deck, like for like more of a lively social situation or parties or bridal parties or whatever. But this is a solid reader, and when you look at this version of the Four of Cups, we have our gentleman here and someone, with the champagne glasses and the tray and all the people in the background partying. And so it's just really making me think of, again, with Sartre's philosophical, I don't want to say belief, concept of the existential. What is the meaning of anything? Most oftentimes, because of the ennui and the malaise and the lack of fulfillment, because the coffee and the bacon and the lipstick and the nails and the champagne and the whatever, those are all earthly things that will pass. But when you're dealing with, and since we're going to, we're in the realm of cups, the emotional aspect of ourselves as individuals, our feelings, it's that energy of what truly has meaning. Because here he is in his, very debonair, very handsome gentleman, looks like it's the Hollywood, it's the Tinseltown, so deck based on Hollywood. So, obviously at a posh, fabulous party, it's mid-century, we've got our fancy champagne flutes and people having a wonderful time and dancing, but he is removed from the group. And it's almost that nod to the usual trappings don't bring me happiness and joy. So does? What does this all mean? What does the party scene mean? What does the champagne mean? What does the, fabulous red carpet mean in the bigger scheme of life? So how do I find the genuine inside? Happiness is an inside job. How do I find joy? But that's only what each individual can say is actual meaningful. And the last card that I will show is from the Lacrimosa deck, Rose Bay. And this is such a wonderful depiction with this Baroque art of, as she's looking at the skull, memento mori. And so here is this, rosy cheeks and full rosy lips and full head of hair cascading down, but with this pensive gaze looking at the skull. And for me, this brings up so much of the, again, the memento mori, like remember, we will die. So, with that knowledge, with that stark awareness of our own mortality, what is the meaning of anything? And it's only what we ascribe the meaning to be. You know, the champagne flutes, what do those mean? Party, fun, celebration, happiness, excitement, socializing, laughter. Or does the champagne flutes, do they represent for somebody else temptation, sadness, a one-way ticket on a bobsled to Depression Town, sobriety that needs to be maintained. Where maybe for him, this party and this champagne flutes and all these things are, oh, I should be having fun at this party because that's what these things represent and symbolize to everyone else. But I'm here and I'm remembering the fact that I just got divorced. So it's not a party, it's not a champagne, kind of a normal champagne occasion. So I'm going to stop talking because I'm just pew, 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 spewing out. And I realized that with my channel, I really want it to be, I wish there was some way that there could be like dialogue sometimes, as opposed to just the monologue of me. I mean, Lord knows I can talk, but I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this, and in particular, as it relates to specifically to the Four of Cups, because I think it's important as we look at this through the lens of the Four of Cups, because we know what's coming is the Five of Cups. And I think what can help us to prevent going into the absolute regret, grief, sadness, emotional overwhelm of just so much heavy heartedness that comes with the Five of Cups is if we can smell it, suss it out, and catch it in that Four of Cups stage of what does life mean? What gives me meaning? But is it through the opinions of the way that I've been raised or socialized, of what things are supposed to mean, of what my life, the meaning of life is? And how does that fluctuate? How does that change? And for one person, their value system or the things that they hold most dear, the meaning of life for some people is to be married and have children, and that's beautiful and wonderful. The meaning of life for some people is, I don't want to have children, but I want to be married. Or I don't want to be married, but I want to have children. Or the meaning of life for some people is, I want to travel the world. Whatever that is, but I'm loving this philosophical concept, and really understanding that existentialism in and of itself is that pivotal moment of, it doesn't have to turn into Five of Cups, the crisis. It is that call to action where our spirit is tapping and saying, or our spirits are tapping and saying, check in with how you are feeling emotionally, Four of Cups. But only each one of us can individually say what anything means. And how do we stay true to checking in with ourselves to notice if and when that is changing? And if it is, why? Is it based on something that is a nod to our own personal development and our own understanding and awareness of ourselves and the world around us that leads to our own expansion and growth? Or is it what other people's opinions, and when it doesn't align with the way things should be based on external, or the internal that's not serving us, that causes us to slip into existential crisis, as opposed to existential awakening and aha moment? Tell me what you think. If you made it to the end, leave champagne flutes or champagne bottle emoji in the comment section, and I will catch you all in the next video. Stay well, stay healthy, stay safe. Try to stay sane. And this is how we fight the malaise and the ennui and the disillusionment and the despondency that I think there's so many outside things that are lending themselves to that happening, a slipping into, that I feel like this is how we stay aware and empowered. I'll catch you guys in the next video.